Welcome to the Dreamboat. This is where we explore everything to do with dreams.
We are sponsored by the DRI Centre for Dream Studies, and you can find out more about our work in the show notes.
You can join us here every fortnight or at one of our dream courses, workshops, or retreats. Thank you for coming on board.
Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Rina Malin, and we are going to talk about sleep first aid. What a great concept.
Yes, our guest today has some great ideas for how to improve the quality of your sleep. So don't drop off just yet, and let's see what he says.
Yeah, apparently estimates and stats suggest that 20 to 40% of the adult population suffer from sleep problems. And it's a growing global phenomenon, possibly due to the stresses of modern life.
Yes. Our guest, Florian Divi, is a lucid dream guide and researcher from Austria, who's very keen that we all get a restful sleep. Welcome, Florian, to the Dreamboat. Tell us, how did you get into this? How did you arrive to this subject?
Hello, thank you for the invitation. My name is Florian. I'm based in Austria, and I did a training with Charlie Morley. I'm a mindfulness of sleep and dream facilitator as well as an active dreaming teacher. My academic background is in the visual arts, and I was very intrigued with my dreams, and I have been assisting Charlie for the last couple of years now. And I noticed that while Charlie built up a whole 6-week course and wrote a book about the sleep and how to wake up in sleep and how to learn about those sleep problems. And I have been assisting and witnessing how people are struggling with sleep and what can be done about it. And there is also this big lack of knowledge about sleep. And do you mind if I answer your question with a question?
Great, go right ahead.
So, what do you do if you wake up in the middle of the night, let's say 3 a.m., after a nightmare?
I think one of the most helpful things I've ever read about sleep was an essay by Benjamin Franklin, who said, Don't worry about falling back to sleep. Just let yourself be awake, and in due course, you will fall back asleep. So if it's a nightmare that's woken me up, I've been participating in dream groups for forever. So first thing I'll do is probably write it down and engage with it in some way, and then just drift back off to sleep.
Yeah, fantastic. So we here, we are very much interested in dreams and sleep, so we play with it. We have an agenda, we have ideas what to do with it. The general population speaking, what do you guess they do if that happens to be? They will probably, and I have found that guilty myself, pick up my mobile phone and go on Instagram or some social media to distract myself from the stress, from the nightmare. Or let's say, maybe I'm not picking up the mobile phone, but I'm stressing, I need to get 2 more hours of sleep because I need to stand up at 6. My alarm clock will go. The next day will be wasted. I will be wasted. It's a disaster. I can't work. So I'm stressing out even more. So you, Rina, you beautifully said not to stress out. So there is important elements to have restful sleep. Charlie has been figuring out and put together. And one of them is sleep awareness, the knowledge of sleep. And there are others like rest and relax practices, breath work, nightmare integration, and lucid dreaming. Charlie has been speaking on the previous episode of yours about the power of lucid dreaming and related to PTSD and trauma. And there are small little things basically you can do to balance and calm down the autonomous nervous system. But those things are not known and very much known in the general population. And I have, as a kid, coming back to your previous question, why it's so important to me, as a kid, I have been sleepwalking. I have had so many nightmares, like 5 times a week, and I would call it a dream hangover. And the dreams would impact me like the next day, 2 days, still 2 days after. I would have night terrors, which is, you could say, like a nighttime panic attack. My parents would wake me up and I would look into their face and they would be scared. And I would feel totally fine because during a night terror, like a pavor nocturnus, there is no dreaming happening, but the body is showing this reaction. My heart was pounding and I was sweating and I didn't know what's going on. If not, my parents would have told me that I was screaming and lashing out at night. And also, I was experiencing different liminal states, like the room I have been in where I went to bed, I would experience that at the same time with dream images. So probably I was surfing somewhere hypnagogic, hypnopompic states in and out. But I was scared to tell my father. And my father was a GP. And I thought, like, if he knows about my experiences in the liminal states and what I've seen there, he might bring me to a psychiatry and put me under medication. But the liminal states, I was not afraid. I was very curious. I wanted to know what's happening there. What is this? What is this? For example, being or dream character appearing and disappearing, or a cloud moving through the room. I was fascinated by it. But in a German-speaking world, there was very little, and you must imagine this is prior internet. So many years back, we had a little library in our village, and I went there, nothing to be found. And actually it took me 20 years later till I found the Tibetan Book of the Deaf, where there were some liminal states and experiences explained, and like, oh, I'm not crazy, insane. There are places to explore, whole worlds to open up. So now coming back, from this big detour, let's say if I have cut my finger, I know what to do, and I hope most people do, like cleansing the wound, removing any foreign objects, putting on some medicine, cream or something like that, and a sticky plaster. Also, if I do know or look at the wound and see like, oh my God, it's too deep, I can see the bone, for example, I will hurry up and get myself close to a doctor or hospital so I can distinguish between how big the impact of my disturbance is. Not so necessarily with sleep. People wait too long to get professional treatment, go to the sleep laboratory, or they would go to the doctors, GPs, and unfortunately, then the general knowledge there about, and I say this with great respect, as I said, my father is a doctor and my grandfather was as well. The medical curriculum does not speak much about sleep, like for GPs in general speaking. There is some there. I looked at it, at least in Austria, and it's really good, but it's a tiny little fraction of the immense amount of stuff GPs have to learn, medical doctors have to learn, which is so totally surprising to me if you think about it, that the medical sign, the snake with the rod, is hinting at God Asclepius, where you would go to the sleep temples to incubate a dream with a dream plan. You meet the god Asclepius to show you what you need to do for your healing to occur. Maybe you will have even an epiphany, a dream order, which tells you, this is the action, this is the diet I need to take, or maybe you're lucky, you will have like whatever is aching is healed after the waking up. Or maybe you have some symbolic dream language, which then on the next day, the priest, the priestesses will need to translate and help you translate for you. So if you think about that, dreaming and sleeping has been very close with the medical discipline.
It has, yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a very good point, Florian, actually. This is the fact that medically it's not a big thing to study, and yet it's a fundamental part of all of our lives. And if it's disrupted through nightmares or stress and anxiety, it can have a serious effect on our mental health over a short period of time. It doesn't take long for people who have not had a regular good night's sleep, whatever that means for them personally. The knock-on effects on someone's health, both physical and mental, is quite substantial, I think.
Indeed. That's what I'm sitting with. That now that you've made that connection to the medical world, it's, sleep and water are the two biggest components to bodily wellness and general wellness. And the one place that we all learned, well, at least women do, how crucial good sleep is when you have a baby and you learn how quickly your life disintegrates within 3-4 days, of no sleep. You make a really good point. It's a foundational element to our wellness.
Absolutely. And our society, Western society specifically, doesn't honor the sleep as much as I would love to. And, if you're sleeping longer than 6 hours, some people would say to me, oh, this is only for babies. But man, I'm not a good person to be around if I'm lacking sleep. My emotions are not balanced enough. I'm more aggressive, and most people are if they're lacking sleep. And I have so much more compassion now with young fathers and mothers lacking sleep. And this is a whole new territory. I'm afraid this is way beyond my pay grade, but I believe that Charlie will be writing a book after his young fatherhood about what to do with this. He's suffering through it right now.
Exactly. So, Florian, what are your tips? Because I know that you, having studied Tai Chi and yoga, have put a lot of emphasis on certain breathing techniques. So tell me, how does that work?
So there is this, what we're looking at is this dysregulated autonomous nervous system, which we want to calm down. And there are different ways to do it. And one of them is, for example, breath work. And there have been now enough scientific studies, I believe, on the 4-7-8 breath, which is like a natural tranquilizer.
Can you just explain what that is for those people who
The 4-7-8 breath is when you breathe in for a count of 4, then you do hold your breath for a count of 7, and then you do exhale for a count of 8. It does not necessarily mean that you inhale this 4-7-8 in 4 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. It's more important to keep the ratio. But what it does is that the breath hold will increase the carbon dioxide levels in your blood gently. And then that one, the blood vessels dilate, it lowers the blood pressure. And with the longer exhale, you give an emphasis on the parasympathetic nervous system. And because the brain has our lungs on speed dial, because if anything happens to our lungs, then we are in big trouble. So if we give our body the information, I'm exhaling for a longer period, I must be relaxed. So it kind of overrides whatever my state of mind is right now, because my body gets different information from the lungs. This is for us an entry point, how to somehow work with the autonomous nervous system. As the name says, it's autonomous, but through the breath, we do have capacity and a level to work with it proactively. So there is this 4-7-8 breath, which can be done, for example, when you wake up in the middle of the night after a nightmare, or when you want to go to bed in the evening, you do a few rounds. Maybe a little disclaimer to the 4-7-8 breath. If you're currently pregnant, then you skip the breath hold. You don't do that. Or if you do have severe respiratory problems, you also do not want to do the breath hold.
I think somebody also told me if you have high blood pressure, you should watch holding the breath in as well for a period of time.
Yeah, I would agree. So I'm not a medical doctor, but from what I have seen with the studies, that most of them, the ones I have read, they say for the general population, it's a really good, handy tool. And in doubt, please consult your medical healthcare professional if that's a safe thing for you to do or not, specifically the breath holds.
So can I just ask you a bit more about it? Because I think it's a lovely technique, honestly, Florian. I think it's a super idea. I have practiced yoga for a long time now, and I love the breathing exercises. And I think it's a great idea for somebody waking up in the middle of the night. And as you say, to calm down. How would you describe, I know this sounds a really odd question, but how would you describe the breathing? Are we breathing in through our nose? Are we breathing in through our mouth? Would you describe the breath itself as part of that technique?
What we sense of the breath is the bodily sensation. So the breath in itself is kind of invisible. And there is, when I tune into my body, when I do the breathing, especially with the breath hold, for example. Some people would do the breath hold and then tense their body, which is not necessarily needed. There is just a tiny little energy needed to hold the breath. So when you do this breath technique, that you do relax your body as much as possible and only use as little energy as needed. And of course, if you do feel any pain or something like that, you don't go to this pain threshold. You stay away from that. So stay in your comfort zone. And if 4, 7, 8 is too much of a stress for you, you can do shorter intervals, maybe doing only 3 rounds instead of 5. You build up slowly. And generally, it is recommended to breathe in through the nose, but if you can't, through the nose or through the mouth, either is fine. Also, there is also a good thing to do is to place your tongue just right behind and underneath your front teeth. And this, if I remember correctly, activates the vagus nerve. So it has also a calming effect on the body. So you can do this breath while laying down, sitting, standing. But I'm assuming that when you're in bed and you woke up after a nightmare, you're probably sitting or lying down. Both of them is fine. If you could have your spine straight, that would be ideal, so that you're not having any pressure on your chest or not twisting, so that the breathing can come with as little effort as possible.
Lovely. It sounds such a good idea, Florian. What do you think, Rina?
I'm still sitting with the phrase, it's a natural tranquilizer, and what a brilliant explanation that is. Yes, because our work has brought us in touch with all of the concepts that you have mentioned. So I know that they work. I mean, I just genuinely know that they work, and it's so accessible. And just the way you've explained it is so accessible to the general public, and it's just a breath away, really. Much of what you're looking for is just a few breaths away. So that's brilliant.
And I thought I want to mention something, since you're the main focus, I believe, is dreaming. And the sleep and dream, they're so closely related. If you look in the ancient Greek mythology, Hypnos and Morpheus, they're either brothers, or Morpheus is the son of god Hypnos. And when you do learn about sleep, you get to know, for me, I learned to know different entry points for dreaming or lucid dreaming. So most people would think of that lucid dreaming happens in the REM sleep, right? So, but there's the hypnopompic state and the hypnagogic state, where you could also use for lucid dreaming techniques. And now bridging them with sleep problems or difficulties. Because if you're a lucid dreamer and you're playing around with the sleep cycle, you might mess up your sleep rhythm, and you might experience something like sleep paralysis. And I don't know if you have previously spoken on this podcast with other people about this phenomenon, but it can be quite, like this sound, quite a horrific experience.
We should say to people listening, Rina's having some work done on her house, and it's provided us with some really useful sound effects that have always been very pertinent to whatever's being said. If you want to have another check out, listen to Rina's and my episode on dreaming of teeth falling out. The drill starts at a very appropriate place.
The Dreamboat is a project of the DRI Center for Dream Studies. If you're the kind of person who is fascinated by the mystery of dreams and you want to learn more about the transformational power of dream work, check out our workshops, lectures, retreats, and training courses at driccpe.org.uk. Also on the website, you can support the podcast and all of DRI's work by becoming a member for just over £30 a year. That gets you discounts and first access for our ticketed events, as well as access to videos and extra material online. That's driccpe.org.uk, and you can find the link in the show notes. Now back to the podcast.
I created this little poster. It's a cheat sheet, actually, a sleep first aid mini poster where you can look up 7 of those sleep problems you might encounter. For example, I can't sleep, or I have nightmares, or I can't move. And I can't move is relating to the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, which can happen to dream practitioners or to anyone, basically. I think like 10% of the population will have experienced sleep paralysis once in a while, and some of them more often. And when this happens, if to describe what is happening, is that you wake up and your body you can't move your body. It's stiff. And maybe you're able to move your eyes. And at the same time, you have like auditory, visual, and sometimes even tactile hallucinations happening. And because you can't move, it becomes even more frightening for most people. And then it builds up to even terror in a way.
You make me think of the very famous image of the incubus sitting on the person's body, which is related to this concept as you're talking, or this state of sleep paralysis.
Exactly. And the incubus is sitting on the woman's chest. So which means that you have a sensation of not being able to breathe well enough. And her body relaxes deeply on that painting, like to the sides. And you see she can't use her muscles. And so on one hand, it's you could say that with one foot, you're still back in the dreaming world. And that's where these dream images are showing up. And with one foot, you're already in the waking world, but your body is still sound asleep. And so you're half in, half out. And because your mind in that moment for most people is that of like, oh, what's happening? Oh, I'm stressed. The dream images are also reflecting that state of mind. And you might have these fearful demons and nightmares or old hag or visitations, alien stuff showing up. And in so many cultures around the world, you will find this situation, this phenomena explained or described with the respiratory system, problems with breathing, not being able to move, and some demon or creature in your space. And the good thing is that the moment you change into an emotion of positivity, love, or care, something like this, if you're able to drop into that, these hallucinations, they will change their shape and form into this very positive. And so this, of course, needs practice.
So love your incubus.
Yeah, or becoming curious about that incubus. Oh, here you are again. Oh, I send you my love. Something like that can transform that hallucinations very, very quickly.
I think that's a lovely idea, Florian, because I think we've talked before with nightmares and night terrors about the notion of rehearsal therapy, where you work out, if it's a regular nightmare, what you're going to do and how you're going to try and combat it by working out your solution beforehand and practicing it while you're awake. And I think this is a great idea, Florian, that you if you have a nightmare and a recurring nightmare, how are you going to love the characters in it? It's a really nice idea.
Yes, and very true. There's a woman I remember, she is having this situation, sleep paralysis, and a nightmarish character will show up again and again. And she became curious about that character, and that transformed her whole situation. And she was able to dissolve this nightmarish situation. Because there's the sleep first aid, you don't need to go this dream practice path. You could also go and say like, okay, I can still use my breathing, and I can create a sound like this zzz sound. And if I do a long exhale and make this vibrational S sound, zzz, exhaling for long, I put emphasis on the parasympathetic nervous system again, which tells my mind that I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay. And the vibration will slowly start to wake up my body, and I can get out of this paralysis thing.
Oh, what a lovely tip. Oh, so you just go zzz, and it, wait, yeah.
Yeah, because there's nothing much else you can move consciously in that state. but you can move your breathing. That being said, if you are a lucid dreaming practitioner, this is a springboard for lucid dreaming. There are techniques which work actually with sleep paralysis, where you then know, oh, this is a good sign. I'm almost there. Give it 20, 30 more seconds, and I might transition into a lucid dream from there. So if you meet that with curiosity, it's a fantastic place to go into lucid dream.
Well, nice idea, Florian. I really like that. Florian, just tell me, on your website, I noticed that you've got lots of great dreaming, breathing techniques that people could obviously play with. Tell me a bit more about your use of yoga nidra. Explain that a little more to everyone.
Okay, so yoga nidra is a term which yoga means union and nidra means sleep. So the union of sleep with what? And it means like sleep unified with awareness. So it's an awareness practice. And so it's a laying down meditation guided by an audio. And I like to do it during the days so that your parasympathetic drive is activated and filled up. So you can do it in the middle of the night, during the day. It's a relaxation which does not take away the sleep pressure, the tiredness, but you show your body that you emphasize the parasympathetic response in your nervous system. It switches on the rest and digest. And there are many, many different audio tracks out there to guide you through a yoga nidra session, which means laying down. You most often do a body scan.
I was going to say it's really similar to the mindfulness movements body scan. It's quite similar. In fact, I think the mindfulness movement probably nicked it from the yoga movement.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's there for a very, very long time. And they're also, depending on the environment you're doing this practice, you might find terms of NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. Let's say in military environments, you not necessarily use the terms, Sanskrit terms. They rather prefer short to the point words you can agree on and easily engage with without believing into a belief system or buying into a belief system. And there's iRest, for example. This is also a very trauma-sensitive yoga nidra program, which is used in US military hospitals actually to help people. So it does have proven it works, help people relax. And as I said, the yoga nidra you can do during any time of the day. There are specific ones for falling asleep and some during the day. But you train yourself to become aware of the process. Like your body falls asleep, but your mind is awake. You bring in your awareness. It's not the same as napping. And in a way, learning the pathway to sleep, but not falling asleep, helps you at night to fall asleep easier. There's this emphasis on the relaxation, so you learn how to relax deeply. And that in contrast with a nap, if you do a nap, then that will reduce the sleep pressure. And that can be, so you need to be careful when to do a nap. If you do it too close to your intended bedtime, you will boycott your sleep pressure for the night, and then you might have troubles falling asleep. So you need to make sure that if you plan to do a nap, that you do it latest 6 hours before your intended bedtime, and then not longer than 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, good tip, actually. Like that. I think that's a really good tip, Ryan. Yeah.
Now imagine when I'm speaking with people about sleep, they say, oh, yeah, but I'm fine. I sleep my 6 hours. So why should I bother taking a nap or sleep even longer? Convincing people that it's good for their health, and not only for themselves, but for the family members, for the co-workers, for their society, if we are all more relaxed. It's difficult to do because you're not productive. The one good argument I found is that the NASA astronauts, when they are on critical missions, they let their astronauts nap for 20 to 30 minutes. And if they do napping in their program, there must be a really good reason for it. And especially if there's so much at stake. And after having a nap, being refreshed and more clear, like the non-productive time because of napping, you will easily make up because your mind is working so much better afterwards. And napping again, like sleep paralysis, can be a beautiful springboard for lucid dreaming because you're not entering deep sleep. If you stay to your 20 to 40 minute nap time, you're not entering deep sleep, but most often you enter directly into REM sleep. So whatever hypnagogic affirmation you are doing before the nap, it might transfer much more easily into the REM sleep, where you then can become lucid and aware.
I'm loving the accessibility of your reference points. You know, we tend to work with the public or work with our clients, but it's all aligning with much of the psychotherapeutic methods that we use. And it's all of this, showing curiosity, engaging with the things that frighten you, coming to meet it, giving you the tools to come and meet it. And then the way you make the links to NASA and to astronauts and all, it's like, I just feel like, of course, like, why wouldn't we all use this? There it is. It's all, you laid it out so beautifully and make it so accessible to the general public. And so I'm very excited about your work and what you're bringing to the public. So really nicely done.
Thank you. And I would like to let people know that the Sleep First Aid Project, it's accessible for free. I have, through the help of many, many people, over 100 actually, helped to translate and work on that. So the whole website is translated in over 8 different languages, including Ukrainian, Russian. And so it shall be a tool for any therapists out there, and also for the general population who wants to dive in to help themselves. It's a first aid thing. If the problem is deeper, please see your healthcare professional. But till then, please use it. It's
a great start. Yeah.
It's a great starting point.
It is a great starting point, and it covers so many different areas. And quite frankly, if you were to go to a professional, they wouldn't give you advice any better than the things that you have in your first aid kit. So I think you really do meet the mark. Yeah.
We'll put a link to Florian's Sleep First Aid Project within the show notes, so you can go and have a little look at for yourselves, try out some of the techniques. Some of them I recognize, I think they're really lovely, including the yoga nidra. It's a very good piece of advice. Florian, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, so the Sleep First Aid Project is growing. And of course, if anyone out there knows something which works even better, then please let me know. And I'm very open for that. And also, I'm looking for someone to help and support to translate the website into Arabic and Hebrew because of the current geopolitical situation. I have been doing this in my spare time. So if anyone knows someone to help with those translations, that would be awesome.
Good. Thank you very much, Florian. So if you speak Arabic or Hebrew, get in touch with Florian through the website. The links will be in the show notes. Yeah, I think it's a great project. Florian, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure, and I normally sign off saying sweet dreams, but, sweet dreams care of the First Aid Project is even better than ever. Rina?
And I would say the same, go well and go with curiosity. And if you don't sleep well, go to the website because it will help you.
Yeah. Thank you, Florian.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much, and for putting that interest into sleep hypnosis. Well, thank you all.
So, thank you for joining us for this week's episode. Don't forget to like us and leave comments on your favourite podcast platform. As I'm sure you know, that's the way we build an audience for the Dreamboat podcast and also to spread news about dreaming. And as we said, there are many ways you can share your dreams at the DRI, the Dream Research Institute.
Yes, we have courses, events, and workshops, and we want to hear from you. So check out the show notes for links, or find us on Instagram and on our Facebook page and on our website at driccpe.org.uk. And if you want to explore your dreams further, or you would like to support us, you can join the DRI as a member for just £30 a year. As a member, you will get discounts for all of our events and short courses. You'll get our newsletter with latest dream research news, and we'll also be adding other special member benefits during the year. Of course, members' dreams will always be given preference for reading on the podcast Dream of the Week slot. So go to the link on the show notes and become a DRI member today. Keep dreaming and keep sharing your dreams.